San Francisco.
You're listening to Pod at the Palace with Curtis Wilkerson on Inside Arkansas.
All right. Welcome in, everybody, to the Pod at the Palace postgame show following Arkansas's 72-68 win over South Carolina to advance in the SEC tournament. They'll meet Ole Miss tomorrow at noon. Fellas, survive and advance, right? That's the motto, and that's pretty much what Arkansas just did in a roundabout way.
Yeah, I mean, what could you say about the resiliency of this team? weather the storm. They got South Carolina's best shot, and they just took it and they made it happen, and they got the dub. I'm trying, that was really rough, but hey. A win is a win is a win.
Never apologize for a win.
It was not entertaining at all in the second half. You won, so let's just delete it and move on to the next.
Listen, I'm definitely I'm being dead serious. I'm not going to complain about this win. I'm definitely not going to complain about Arkansas clinching their spot in the NCAA tournament, which we felt like they already did. We've seen this story play out a lot of times against teams better than South Carolina. Arkansas plays well. They build up a good lead. They get it to a point where everyone's comfortable, and you slowly see it dwindle down. I mean, going back to the beginning of the year, Curtis and I are in Fort Worth watching this team do this against TCU. TCU team they wound up losing to that day. But Arkansas has done a lot here down the stretch. They found a way to win. They found a way to win ugly. And this is the kind of stuff you have to do. And the first half was maybe one of the best halves I've seen Arkansas play in a while. Maybe all year. It really was. I was buzzing after that. And man, it would have been a disastrous loss. I don't know what words we would have come up with to process it, but thank God we don't have to wonder about that. As Kanye said, I guess we'll never know. We'll never know if Arkansas was going to not make the NCAA tournament with the loss, because they did. I don't know what tomorrow is going to look like, but ultimately, another reason why I'm not going to care too much, we all agree the SEC tournament doesn't really matter. It would have only mattered if you had done something really stupid, which Arkansas was on the cusp of doing. But now they're good. They've clinched their spot. They'll probably look horrible tomorrow. I'm fully prepared for that. But like you said, you survive in advance. You live to fight another day. Arkansas is going dancing. That's all that matters here at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, I already gave the Arkansas is going dancing speech after the Mississippi State win, so I'm not going to do it again. But I feel you, because this really was the one, right? Like, they had to avoid disaster here, and they narrowly did that. But yeah, you're right. They're in. That's good. But man, this team, you're right. I mean, that first half was arguably the best first half they played all season. They looked really, really good. Looked sharp. No funny business. No nothing. But when you get to this stage of the season, the sample size is there. They played the full regular season. You are who your record says you are. You are what the trends say you are. And what Arkansas is a team that habitually builds huge leads and then pisses down their leg. And that's exactly what they did. Now, to Arkansas's credit, a vast majority of the times they've done exactly this. They've wound up winning the game. So that's okay. Like they did against Texas, they blew that huge lead, wound up winning in overtime. They did against Mississippi State, wound up winning that game, at the last second there. And there are other examples of that happening. So it wasn't necessarily a surprise when Arkansas got up 20 early in the second half. I think it was just 16 when I was looking at you guys on the watch party going, it's coming. Like here we go. Not that I ever felt Arkansas was going to completely blow it and lose, but they just don't blow teams out. Like they don't keep the foot on the gas for whatever reason. More than 10 minutes of basketball where they didn't score, didn't make a shot from the field. That is not a great trait to have, but closing games and finding ways to win is. And so they put themselves in uncomfortable positions pretty much on a nightly basis. But to their credit, whereas they weren't finishing some games earlier on, especially in SEC play, they continue to find ways to get it done. And it doesn't matter who they play. Like it's, you look at South Carolina here and it's like, oh, it's the last place team in the league. What the hell? They do this with everybody. They did it with the Mississippi State team that's going dancing next week. They did it with Texas, who's on the bubble. It's just kind of who they are at this point, man. I will accept winning ugly than completely blowing it and losing.
Yeah. Well, and I know that there's a lot of things that we're going to talk about, but I just wanted to relay it that according to John Calipari, he instructed Nelly Davis to miss that free throw on purpose.
That's a bad decision.
I don't understand it.
It's one of the most That's one of the most baffling coaching decisions I think I've ever seen. Somebody tell me why I'm crazy. Somebody tell me why that was a good idea.
No, it was
3-point
crazy.
lead, 2.5 seconds left. You have a free throw that would give you a 4-point lead, a 2-possession lead with 2.5 seconds left. And South Carolina has a timeout, and you tell them to miss a free throw on purpose. Why? For what reason would that ever make any sense at all?
I saw someone in the chat say that he was lying to protect his player. I think that's very possible.
That's a good call.
That's
But
true.
do y'all remember Cal was saying something to Nelly when he was going to the line? And when you even said, Curtis, on the watch party, you were like, just shut up and let him shoot. He said something. Maybe it was that. Maybe they missed. Maybe they didn't realize what the score was. But I agree. And look, in theory, like it was not going to matter either way. Because if he had actually missed it, South Carolina was going to get the rebound. They probably wouldn't have gotten it up the floor and gotten a good look or anything like that. It would have been a full court heave. But it would have been a full court heave that could have tied the game. Where, to your point, Curtis, you just end it when you have a chance to end it, which thankfully Nelly Davis did. But ultimately, just a baffling decision. And there were a few questionable decisions for the Arkansas Razorbacks down the stretch. But I got to say, guys, as bad as it was down the stretch in the second half, I didn't feel like Arkansas's effort was bad necessarily. I just think it was kind of one of those things where you have some missed shot. They couldn't buy a bucket at all. I mean,
they had lemon booty.
They had lemon booty a little bit for
Yeah.
sure. And again, by the way, there's the other side of this equation is South Carolina, a team that we already know how if you take them not seriously, they can get you. A team that is literally fighting for their life. Like they needed to make a run in this tournament. It wasn't going to matter. They weren't going to win 5 games in 5 days. But you have South Carolina. They're kind of feeling that stretch of, hey, this is our last time playing college basketball. Let's go out there and make it count. So you're fighting against that a little bit. And I've said it a few times now after these games that being in these tight, close situations will make you better. I think at this point, I've seen Arkansas in enough of these games. I don't need to see them in any more close, competitive, high stakes, tight all the way through games. Like I'm good. We're prepared for March. Lose tomorrow and get out of here. Like I'm serious.
I've seen the phrase mentally weak in the chat several times here. I don't think that's where I would go. I think it's maybe just a lack of killer instinct, right? If you were mentally weak when these big comebacks come at you, you would fold and you would lose the game. But they've pretty consistently rallied and been able to win despite that happening. So I think that requires mental toughness, right?
Yeah.
But it is, I think, that killer instinct of just closing and leaving no doubt that's missing. That's part of it. And then, I mean, we do have to acknowledge, and it's just the reality of the situation, not an excuse or whatever, but they have 7 guys. And so they tend to be a little bit more fatigued down the stretch, and then foul trouble happens. So you're not as aggressive defensively as you used to be, whatever. Those things play into it as well. But I don't know about mentally weak is the word there. I actually think it's a little bit of the opposite because they keep getting the dub regardless.
If Arkansas were mentally weak, not only would they not be in this position because they would have quit on this season a long time ago. Hell, we saw Arkansas a year ago in a very similar situation to this team. That team had no problem quitting time and time again. This team has been given many opportunities to quit, big picture on the season, and in these games, like you said, when teams start making that run, it's very easy to succumb to that. Arkansas didn't succumb to that today. They only needed to make 1 or 2 buckets down the stretch, and that's what it took. But if this team were mentally weak, they wouldn't be in this spot, and they wouldn't have won all these games down the stretch that they've won.
Yeah, I don't see any mental weakness about that. I mean, people can say that a team may be minimally weak that if they kept losing this way, but they haven't. Wasn't now they've won 5 of their last 6 or 4 of their last 5 or whatever it is. It's like, they've taken care of business, and that's all that matters in the end. And I know that we're living in the moment and talking about this particular game, but as I've always said, it's like if you go to the NCAA tournament and if Arkansas was to find a way to go to the Sweet 16 or whatever, you're like, hey, this is a great year. You're not going to go back. But that South Carolina game in the SEC tournament, by goodness, I did not like that. Like no one's going to remember. No one's going to care. They just remember, hey, you won. And that's all that matters. You won. The committee, when they're going to be getting together about you and being in a tournament, I mean, maybe they do, but I feel like if they're going to be looking at your resume and be like, okay, Arkansas is in the tournament. We're going to give them a 10 seed. Hey, wait a minute, George. Didn't they almost just barely beat South Carolina in the SEC tournament? Got to put them down to 11 seed. Like, I just don't see that going into anyone's mind. You got the win. It's all that matters.
Yeah, no, for sure. You were projected as a 3 or 4 point favorite by the analytics. You won by 4. So Arkansas gets the win. It's interestingly enough, like it's a helpful one. It's a quad 2 win that gets added onto the resume. the metrics aren't going to move much. Like I don't think Arkansas will move much up or down either way in Ken Palm or, anything like that. So they held serve, did what they needed to do, avoided disaster. And so, okay, like we'll take it, man.
And by the way, speaking of the mentally weak thing, another thing you could say is Arkansas physically weak? I would actually argue they were physically kind of strong in this game, especially on the defensive end, because that's another aspect of this. Arkansas goes 10 minutes without scoring. How the hell do you win that game? Because that mental weakness or whatever just didn't show up on the defensive end. Arkansas was still defending. They were still in South Carolina's shorts pretty much the entire game. But even in the second half, South Carolina ends up scoring 38 points because, it got kind of crazy down the stretch, but they shoot under 40%. It's not like they were just rattling off good look after good look. There's a reason why Arkansas was that lead. It's because they actually held.
Oh, boy.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is it Cox? Is it Ozarks Go? Is it that room? I don't know. It just keeps getting him for whatever reason.
Dangerous.
Bad for him because I felt like he was on a heater.
I could beat the Cox today on the court, but I couldn't beat him in my room.
Yeah, there you go. I see a few people in the chat here, and I think I agree with this. Yes, South Carolina is not a very good basketball team, but are they a bad matchup for Arkansas? And I do think there's something to that in ways. It's weird how that works from time to time. And South Carolina, I got to give them credit. They played better than I thought they would away from their gym, but they did just go give Tennessee a dogfight in their home building the last time out. So they've been playing a little bit better down the stretch. Their 2 wins in SEC play came late. Arkansas, they avoid disaster. Somebody right before the game hit me up on Twitter and said, what's your final score prediction for this game? And I said 72-66 Hogs. So in a roundabout way, almost nailed it.
I mean, I'm sure you all had the way that was going to go in mind totally too. Like you knew that it was going to be the best first half Arkansas has played, and then the second half. Yeah, I mean that totally makes sense because that's the deal. Is like if you look at the final score, if you didn't even watch the game and all you saw was the final score afterwards, you're like, oh, okay, good grief, yeah, got the win. But it's just the way that the game went. Like if it would have been the opposite, where Arkansas was, because think what our mood would be, how different it would be if the halves flipped. And Arkansas played absolutely horrendous in the first half, but then they came and turned it on, scored 47 points in the second half to win. It'd be a completely different vibe, but they didn't. And you got another game tomorrow at noon against Ole Miss, so live to fight another day, survive in advance.
Yeah, I'm sure that game they're going to be dialed in on all cylinders tomorrow after the way this game played out. But I agree, like it doesn't take a genius to say, hey, Arkansas was good in the first half, they're bad in the second half. You judge the full thing. You judge it as a full effort. When Curtis gives his player grades, he'll judge the full 40 minutes. And Arkansas wasn't good necessarily, but they got the job done. And we can stop with the NCAA tournament talk, though I'm already seeing comments that are saying that Arkansas still needs a win to get in the NCAA tournament. I tell you, it's hilarious how often these goalposts are going to move.
Oh, man. That's I can't handle it. That's pretty good. That's pretty good stuff. I wonder who's saying that.
Who was it? It was a Hogball Burner. Shout out to him, by the way. He said they've already seen if Arkansas wins tomorrow, they are for sure a lock. And it's like, how do you can't say that 7 straight games. I mean, literally Arkansas won 5 of 6 in every single one of those games. Like, well, if they win, they can make the tournament. Yeah, and they won them all. Like,
one win away.
I hate everybody.
Oh man, this is fantastic. I do see this dude. I got tagged in this thing on Twitter, and I think it might just be some random guy, but he was like, "This is the dumb thing about metrics. Arkansas will get in because of metrics, but a team like North Carolina, who's playing great basketball right now, will get left out. The current best teams aren't always the ones with the best metrics. The only reason North Carolina is even in the conversation is because they beat up on the shitty teams in the ACC and have good metrics. They are not playing good basketball right now. They're playing bad teams. They're 1 of 11 in quad 1 games. Arkansas has won 5 of 6. What's kind of holding them back is that their metrics are a little bit higher than they are. Like people out there just, I don't know what we're talking
Arkansas
about.
won 5 of 6, a bunch of which have come against tourney teams. Like they would actually fit the description of a team playing well at the right time.
You'd think.
Oh man, good stuff. And yes, and I pointed that out a little bit earlier. South Carolina, it's actually 9. South Carolina has a higher net than 9 of the teams in the ACC. They're worse in the SEC, but they're higher than 9 in the SEC. So there you have it. Good win.
Can we just go ahead and establish that if Arkansas doesn't if they lose tomorrow and they didn't make the NCAA tournament, it's the biggest. Something happened. Somebody got paid off. Somebody was in charge that shouldn't have been. So something bad happened.
I mean, they now have 9 wins against this SEC.
No, it's not enough. It's not enough.
I mean,
it would have been tough if Arkansas had obviously lost this game, because we said coming in we thought they should be safe no matter what. It would have been tough if they had lost, because we would have kind of still had to be their champion despite how bad the performance is. I'm just glad we avoided the conversation altogether. I'm going to dunk on everybody who keeps tweeting and saying Arkansas needs wins. I'm going to retweet all of them.
Oh man, I can't wait to get off here and just start chirping people. Let's get into the chat. This is a reaction show, right? Wait, okay. A few things that we need to get out of the way though before we do that. DJ Wagner, huge 3. Arkansas hadn't scored in like 11 minutes, and DJ hit that huge 3 to make it 64-60. Crazy how much breathing room you felt like you all of a sudden had with a 4-point lead. Good on him for that shot. Mad props to Jonas Adu for another double-double, but Trevin Brazil down the stretch there, he was not going to lose that game. The huge tip in, he was all over the glass, making plays defensively. I know he had the turnover after the inbounds play there late, but he really, really, really had a positive impact on things for Arkansas there down the stretch. So I wanted to make sure we gave him a shout out.
Absolutely.
16 points for Trevin Brazil. I didn't realize he scored that much, but he hit some huge threes early for Arkansas to kind of set that tone. Had the huge save that led to the DJ Wagner 3 as well. 4 steals from Trevin Brazil. Someone asked us during the watch party, is this the most consistent he's played? I would say he's playing the best basketball of his career right now in the biggest spot of his career.
Yeah. No, I'd agree. I mean, yeah, you 8 points and 8 points in 38 minutes. Yeah, that's good stuff there too.
This is a guy that's been in college basketball for a while. He has not been in these settings. He has not gotten to play in the NCAA tournament. He's not gotten to play for a really good team down the stretch and see what he could do. I guarantee you he's been sitting there the last 3 years wishing he could be in games like this. It's good to see him playing well.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. I keep seeing people say that T3 bracketology, which is a good bracketologist that I appreciate, was throwing a little shade at Arkansas, but I'm not.
I saw the one I did see is college basketball content. Don't know who that is, but it's got somewhat of a following. CBB content. It's got like 24,000 followers. But he just said, or she or whoever says, metrics aside, there's just no way this Arkansas team is March Madness level good.
Which, by the way, I'm not even going to push back against that. I would push back when all the people would say they should expand the tournament field. I'm like, I don't know if we have 64 good teams anyway, but just based on the criteria we use now for 64, Arkansas's in. Arkansas's a tournament team, like no doubt.
How many March Madness teams has Arkansas beat in the last month? Several.
But hey, metrics aside though, metrics don't matter. Metrics aside,
ignore all the information that determines these things.
Yes, yeah. It's like,
I think I'm with, and we'll get into the chat here, folks. But I think I'm with Keith. He said, "Did we just avoid Dayton?" Yeah, I think that's what Arkansas just did. I felt like a loss there, and you would have been flirting with that first 4 situation. I'd be stunned if Arkansas was in Dayton at this point.
Yeah,
I think they're going to be a 10 seed, and then if they win tomorrow, then maybe we can have a conversation. But I don't know how I feel about tomorrow. Maybe we'll get to that at the end of the show. But yeah, I think they've avoided Dayton at this point, unless something crazy happened and like 5 or 6 bid stealers came through and then popped off, like all those other teams that you're ahead of on the bubble got dropped out or something crazy. But no, I think they're in a pretty good spot here.
Worst case scenario, you're an 11 seed that's not going to Dayton.
Yeah,
for sure.
Because here's the thing is like, I was going to take the tournament no matter what. I was going to like to go in there, but to avoid Dayton, that's the most important win of the day, is you avoided Dayton. So
what you avoided the NIT is what you really avoided.
That too, but also Dayton. You know, little column A, little column B, same difference.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's get in the chat. Let's see how people are feeling. I see a lot of questions about Big Z. Corey does. Big Z now injured. What does that mean for the Hogs? A lot of people asking how bad Z's thumb injury is. I mean, we're in Fayetteville. Like the game just ended. I don't think nobody knows necessarily the answer to that question. Did he jam his thumb? Did he damage a tendon or whatever? I don't know. I mean, clearly he's still able to play, and I'd imagine he will play through it. But we'll have to see, how does it affect his ability to consistently catch the basketball and secure rebounds? And, does it affect the shooting stroke? I know he made a couple free throws after it happened there, which was encouraging, but ice that sucker down because it'll probably get a little swollen up on you and stuff. And then just honestly, in my opinion, guys, get through this freaking SEC tournament. Hopefully he can heal up some, but then maybe, just maybe, you get a reinforcement or two and you feel a little bit better about your situation.
What are you saying, Curtis? Tell us what you're saying right now. Who are you talking about? Who's coming back?
I mean, I'm saying Pat Bradley said Thero is coming back for the NCAA tournament.
It's true. And we know Pat Bradley breaks that news. So, but no, I'm just messing because that's what everybody says. If you say something like that, they're just freaking out. But yeah, it would have. Here's the thing. This is probably going to be my hottest take ever, but this game would have really benefited if Adu Thero played in it. Like,
absolutely.
That's like a hot take, but it'll be nice to see him get back when that happens. So can't wait.
Well, and also, are they going to put out an injury report in like 4 hours here for tomorrow's game?
I think so.
Right. So it'll be interesting to see if Z's on it, if he's probable, questionable, doubt, like whatever. And maybe if you get a little bump, like maybe Thero's doubtful, that'd probably feel cool for us. But it does sound like they're just going to rest him. But regardless of whether Z's available for 10 minutes or 30 minutes, I mean, Arkansas, it'd be in their best interest to lose tomorrow, in my humble opinion.
I'm kind of with you. Listen, if they go out there and kick the crap out of Chris Beard and Ole Miss, I will love every single second of it. But man, when you're down to 7, now you got another dude with a thumb injury. It's like, let's just get out of here healthy. No matter how many games you win, or if you wind up losing the next one, you just can't afford to have any other nonsense like that. Goodness.
Well, I'm just like, you worry about gas in the tank for the game, but also just like you can only play in so many of these back and forth, tight, high adrenaline, tough, physical games. Like before it becomes a little counterproductive. And I think Arkansas would be teetering on that territory if they're in another close slugfest tomorrow.
Do we think Eureka Strings sum this up as well as anyone? This is absolutely disgusting, repulsive, repugnant. Woo damn pig.
Yep.
Yeah, that second half, man. Burn that tape. Let's only watch the first half tape because that was a masterclass, really, on both ends of the floor. The first half was awesome, man. Just erase that 11-minute stretch, and woo pig.
Yep. It's like sometimes I'll tweet out that scene from Christmas Vacation, just hallelujah. Holy crap, where's the Tylenol? I mean, that's just how it is. It's like you're excited to win, but geez.
Exactly.
Because again, I look back on it, guys. Since there's not been one SEC win, obviously that came easy. And then even in the non-conference, there was like, that's what's made this season for many reasons, but that's just something that's been so crazy to me is I feel like even the games, so many in the non-conference, except for even Maryland, Eastern Shore or whatever, they were weird, tough, way too close. And we just don't know what it's like. We don't know what it's like to enjoy it. So at least you can be, because I saw somebody in the chat saying, I don't know if I can take this team. My heart can take this team in the NCAA tournament or going on a run or whatever it is. I'm like, you not remember the Muss years? Because every single freaking game came down to the wire and it was stressful, but you won. And that's all that matters. But yeah, it would be nice, but it's not. It's definitely, if it didn't happen today, it's not going to happen. You are not going to win an easy game for the rest of the way. Not going to happen. So just prepare yourself, Razorback fans. Just prepare yourselves.
Yeah, this is life for the rest of the season, fellas.
Yes, it is.
Phil, he says, we're dancing. That's all that matters. Might wear my Brazil jersey tonight to the nephew's game with the shirt he bought me that says, because of the implication under it.
Because of the implication is good stuff. Shout out to the always sunny in Philadelphia boys.
I love it. I love it. Our man Hayden, appreciate the super chat. Says, I don't know if my heart can take a deep run from this team. Go Hogs.
Hayden, what are you talking about? Yes, you can. Yes,
you can. Yeah, there ain't nothing that a beer can't fix. But let me tell you this: just understand what you're getting yourselves into every game. Arkansas, it would be easy for me to look at this game and I'll do a preview and put it out in the morning. And it'll be easy to be like, man, it's a back-to-back and it's another early tip and Z's banged up or whatever. Arkansas might get their doors blown off. No, that's not what I expect at all. I expect Arkansas to have a double-digit lead in the second half and blow it and then either win or lose the game in close fashion. Like they're just going to do this for whatever reason. It feels like that's kind of what we have to resign ourselves to and prepare for mentally and emotionally.
Everybody needs to quit crying about being in close games. Oh, God forbid the team I watch, they're in these close, fun, down to the wire games. Oh, what the horror. They might have to play 3 or 4 of them in the tournament. Yeah, it'll be fine.
Well, I'm just saying, like, and into the defense of the fans, it would be one thing if you had some of these games that were not hard and difficult to balance it out, but it's just not been that way. It's not. All 9 games that you've won against SEC opponents this year have been stupid, crazy, blown leads, comeback leads, back and forth, high scoring, low scoring, road wins, home wins. It's just, there's not been anything where you're just exhausted at the end of every single game. It's like, I need the whole thing of I need a cigarette. Like, that's what you feel like. You just went through a marathon after a game against a 16 seed South Carolina. It's like, it shouldn't have to feel this way. It shouldn't have to be feeling like you just got put through the woodwork, and it is every single time. And it'd just be nice to have one that's not. But again, that's over with. You can't expect that for sure anymore. It's over.
But that's what should be cool about tomorrow. Because tomorrow, we really, I mean, today we were pretty relaxed, but like tomorrow, we really should not get worked up at all.
Shouldn't is the key word.
I'm retweeting a bracket guy right now. Says Arkansas survives South Carolina. That's likely enough to put the Hogs into the dance, but I can't quite lock them in yet. On the other hand, Vandy can fully lock up a bid if they beat Texas.
How is Vandy not locked up a bid? What the hell?
They've been a lock, bro.
I think there's only going to be like 5 SEC teams in the tournament. What is he talking about?
What are you at risk of here? Like if Boise State wins a Mountain West Conference tournament game, like Arkansas should be worried about that. I don't know.
Hey, real quick, guys. Sorry. Yes. A quote from Cal after this. He says that he does not expect to have Boogie Flander or Deuce Theroux in the SEC tournament. But when he was asked about what about the rest of the postseason, he goes, depends on how far we advance. So that's his comment.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
pass that along.
We shall see. At least, I was seeing some things with Boogie. You know how when, like in that game Z, when the ref was passing the ball at the free throw line, he didn't want to catch it with that hand. I was seeing some of that from Boogie in just some like practice clips that I saw from the last couple of days. Like he really wasn't even trying to catch passes with that hand when he was in there and he wasn't dressed out or anything. So I don't know about him. But the Theroux thing is interesting. John, we saw him. He was moving around well on Saturday. And then there's a reason why that was strategically put out there, with PB and everything. Is it hey, keep in mind, selection committee, our best player might be coming back, even though he's really not? Or is it, no, like we might actually get some reinforcements? I don't know, but I would welcome having him back for sure. Austin Paul said the refs were blind.
Man, there were some things I wasn't a fan of throughout the game.
There was some ticky-tack one way and not so much the other for a stretch there for sure. It's hard to lean, and I'm with you. Like some of that was kind of crazy, but we can't really lament on it too much when Arkansas didn't score for 11 minutes. I mean,
yeah, see that, and that's the thing is like also in the second half, which I know some of it was down at the end, but second half, both teams had 9 fouls. First half, South Carolina had 8 and Arkansas had 3. So, I'm not trying to say that there weren't bad calls, because there were absolutely, but there's definitely your own makings. Because I don't care how long it is. If you go 10 minutes without a field goal, I don't know. I just don't think like the officiating is something you can be like, that's the reason why.
For sure. And ultimately, I say this in a lot of college basketball games. I think college basketball officiating is just bad in general. Sometimes it favors your team. Sometimes it doesn't. I just feel like it's almost not worth talking about. Where it's like, I feel like it's just going to average out at the end of the day. I don't think the outcome of today's game was affected by it. I think it kind of played out how it needed to.
Oh, brother. Okay, moving on. This is fascinating. Let's see. Yeah, I started a lot of stuff in here. Do we have anything else we want to say about this Nelly Davis missed free throw on purpose situation? I mean, if maybe Cal's protecting his player, maybe he actually told him to. Whoever's idea it was a bad idea.
Maybe it was like one of those things with Tom Brady when he's doing the 4. Like, wait a minute, I thought we had 4. Like, maybe it's something that he thought like, oh, I thought we were up by 4. I thought we were up by 4 already. Like, maybe that was the case. But yeah, there's zero reason, excuse, it just doesn't know. Nope.
And again, if anyone in the chat has a good explanation for why that was a good idea, I'm open to hearing it. Like I'm not sitting here trying to be like the Messiah or something. Like I'm right or wrong, but I just can't think of a reason why that was a good idea. David said, which of these teams in the next game do we want to lose? Who's playing right now?
Texas Vandy.
And Vandy.
Texas. Texas needs to lose. Texas loses, and they're, I think, done anyway. But that could also bump that Vanderbilt win back up into Q1A territory, which you would like. But yeah, get Texas the heck out of here, right?
Yeah, no, that's fair. How about that bracket guy who does it for a living saying Vandy needs a win to be safe?
That
is absolutely insane.
That is
that, you know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of someone who just looks at their record and says 2011, 8-10. Well, Arkansas's 20-12, 8-10 as well. Well, I can't say one's in with the same record as the other, so I just got to make sure that they are both kind of. That seems like somebody just looks at the record and was just like, I had no idea what they've done or who they beat or anything. But if one team's 8-10 and the other team's 8-10, then both of them have work to do. Like that's just what it reminds me of.
Yeah. I see Hogball Burner in here with, I've already seen it. If Arkansas wins tomorrow, they're for sure like, yeah, and I've seen it too now. But we called it. Like we're on the right side of history here.
Right.
Like we
and
said
we have
that
the whole way.
Yeah, it's tremendous.
I mean, literally, dude, a week ago we were saying if Arkansas goes 1-1, they'll be in a good spot. They went 2-0, and then we were like, okay, they're locked. We'll play along and pretend they need to beat South Carolina. They do that. They cannot lose a bad game. It's impossible now. Ole Miss is not a bad loss. You're not going to drop 10 spots by losing to Ole Miss.
But yeah, a quad 1 game or whatever. And that's the funny thing about it, because here's what will happen is right now, because Arkansas is kind of stacked quad 1 wins or whatever, people ignore the fact that well over half of Arkansas's schedule has been against teams like that, whereas others just aren't in that situation. But they're combining quad 1, quad 2, Arkansas's record, which is below 500, but it's the league that you're in, man. But they use that to prop up teams like North Carolina or Xavier, who only have 1 quad 1 win. It's like, well, they beat up on a bunch of average teams. So let's combine quad 1, quad 2 record so we could make the case that they're comparable to Arkansas or whatever. Now Arkansas gets this quad 2 win. If they lose to Ole Miss tomorrow, then people will be pointing to, yeah, but look how many losses Arkansas has in the first quadrant, though. Like I see how many Q1 losses they have. I mean, is this a term? I don't know. This is a tournament resume. I'm really not entirely sure.
They could win the SEC tournament. Someone's gonna be like, I don't know.
If North Carolina beats Notre Dame, we're gonna have to really have a conversation here. It's pretty impressive stuff, man.
Again, it goes back to what I feel like people want the drama with Cal to where they want to box them into this one spot because it's either good for their clicks or for their ratings or whatever. But it's like they just whatever, no matter what, every win doesn't matter, doesn't help, but every loss also doesn't help. And they just put them in there. Like there's going to be people that keep doing it. That's the only thing I can think of is why people keep doing this is just for the dramatics about Cal. That's it.
I kind of love it though.
It's
very irritating. Like you would like people just like, okay, fine at some point, but it's
going to make it very sweet. If Arkansas wins 1 game in the NCAA tournament, this has been a success of a season, no doubt.
Yeah.
We're going to lick up so many tears.
Dude. I mean, if they went to the Sweet 16, I'm going to y'all going to have to take my Twitter away because I'm going to be awful.
No, we're going to let you go unhinged, John.
Yeah.
Can't wait for it. I think I'm with Jeremy here. He says, I was saying this all through the game. South Carolina is our kryptonite for some reason. Glad to be past them and glad we don't see him again this year. I'm glad to not see Colin Murray Boyles again this year. Like they had some dudes who I don't necessarily think are very good basketball players who were hitting some shots today and good on them. But Murray Boyles, man, he's problematic. Like especially if you don't have Thero, like I never want to see that guy again. Just go to the league and start your 2-way, contract or whatever. But man, oh man, that dude's a pain in the butt to deal with. He'll probably be a first round pick though, won't he?
Probably.
Yeah. I mean, he was projected like as high as like 17 to 18, 19. He'll have a chance. I'm not bullish on him as an NBA prospect, but he's a dominant college player.
If I was him, I keep coming back. Like if the bag was there,
I
keep coming back and dominating, man. Goodness gracious. Tangular Water wants to know, does Curtis ever wear Hogs apparel? Yeah, like all the time.
Yeah.
I wear that Rod Hog hoodie like every other day. Got another Razorback hoodie, a gray one that I wear in here quite a bit. I got my gray Arkansas basketball shirt. I got my tan Arkansas football shirt. I wear Razorback gear all the time. So
yeah, we used to not, back when we were like journalists, we didn't wear them as much. But I mean, yeah, we go to Alumni Hall and literally wear their stuff.
Yeah. I was rocking a baseball jersey Friday. That sucker felt good. I almost wanted to buy it.
It's clean, man.
Jared Cowan says the goalposts are on wheels at this point. That's good stuff. That is good stuff.
Yes. But I really do think we should enjoy this. Like going back to the point of making fun of everybody, watching everyone do these mental gymnastics to try and like frame this Cal season as a negative. Just enjoy it, man.
Yeah. I love it. Okay. I wanted to pull this up while I had the story pulled up and react in real time. Hudson the GOAT says, Curtis, I know you don't like the bubble watch writers on ESPN, but I thought I should update you. We're still in the work to do category. There's no way this is true. Neil Payne updated this at 2:46. So within the last 15, 20 minutes or so. Let me scroll and see. The SEC. Yeah, I think he's right. I keep scrolling down. Okay, no, should be in category is where Arkansas is at now.
Okay.
Should be in. Okay, so maybe they got it since he sent that message. Oh yeah, he was at 2:42. That was at 2:46. So it has since been updated. Gotcha. Arkansas now should be in the field. Their odds skyrocketed to 70%
on ESPN.
Yeah. On ESPN. I want to read this real quick. He said, Arkansas continued its recent resurgence against South Carolina in round 1 of the SEC tournament Wednesday. Despite missing leading scorer Adu Thero, the Hogs have now won 5 of 6, and their tourney odds in the ESPN analytics forecast have risen to 70%. The SEC is slated to send 13 teams to the big dance in the latest version of Joe Lunardi's Bracketology, and the Hogs entered the day ranked 11th in the SEC in the net. I've been teeing off on this dude for a month, because he's had Arkansas's SEC net ranking wrong. And he said he's been saying 13th for like 2 weeks, and it just has not been the case. He finally fixed it. Okay, kudos to you. They also have a handful of head-to-head wins over quality teams, blah, blah, blah. As a low 40s team by strength of record and wins above bubble, which he was calling them mid-40s, which is also incorrect. So finally, somebody must have clipped me and sent it to this dude, and he just went back and, Googled it and found out some correct information. And so now here we have it. So good on you, Neil, for getting it right.
Hey, Curtis has been crushing. Curtis has been living on the right side of history for a while now. You've been dominating down the stretch, my guy.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Hey, guys, I just remembered I got to run. Y'all can do it without me. I know it's going to be tough.
Unreal.
You guys
think so?
Yeah, I know.
He said you think so.
Where you got to go? Where the hell you got to go?
I have a Zoom meeting with a very important person that got moved up a little bit. So, yeah, sorry.
Oh, put a freaking shirt on, guy.
Trust me, I have one as soon as I'm going to run upstairs and get one. So,
we appreciate you, buddy.
That's what I'm here for. Appreciate you guys.
See you, man.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
And then there were 2.
Yeah. Then there were 2. Oh man, I feel better. We need to be able to laugh this off a little bit.
I mean,
for sure. A little bit. I mean, always happy. Like you never apologize for a win, but at the end of that, I was very like, come on, guys. Do we have to do it this way? I'm happy that it happened, but did it have to go down this way? Feeling better now.
I never thought I would say this, but it really is going to. When this happens in the tournament and Arkansas starts to blow a big lead in the NCAA tournament, we will somewhat feel good about it, right? Because we'll be like, they've been here before. They kind of know how to manage it. It's like a team that knows exactly how much they have left in the tank, and they want to use it at the right times. Yeah. It's almost like down the stretch, they're making a decision. We kept saying, you just need 1 field goal, 2 free throws. You just need 1 shot, 1 stop. And they seem to have a good feel for just kind of how to do that. It's hard to not panic in that situation. It really is. I mean, whether it's sports or anything, when a team starts making a run on you like that, it's hard to stop that momentum. to get Uncle Mo back on your side. And they somehow find a way to do it. They do just enough. And I also want to give Cal credit because, one, I think the chalk was talking a little bit tonight. That play that broke the streak with the Nelly bucket, that was
Nelly
good.
on the
I
curl.
really like that set, even though we were calling for a DJ Wagner pick and roll. And I just feel like anytime there was a timeout or a stoppage in play and Arkansas could talk, they came out a little bit better each time. I referenced it a ton on the watch party, but that in the first half when it was 21-19 and Arkansas calls a timeout, after that, the game was completely different. Arkansas dominated the first half from there, really built up that lead. I think Cal does a good job of just kind of calming them when he needs to calm them and then slapping the ass when he needs to get them to kick it into gear.
Yeah. Yeah. And we'd really be talking about the chalk, the whiteboard work if they would have made of a couple of shots, because some of the timeouts, the out of timeout plays that he drew up, like he had Billy downhill for that layup after the one, he just smoked it. And there were a number of those that happened too, where it was like, wow, great play. They got the look, didn't make the shot. So, and kudos to them for getting a new baseline inbounds play put in. That's not just the lob to the big man. Nelly scored on that short corner jumper, and then he got a wide open one right after that he missed, but at least they're mixing it up a little. So
TB also had that one where he just kind of won the positioning inside and was able to get a look just point blank. There's been some good stuff. It is crazy. The chalk has been talking, and ultimately it's like, again, it's not pretty, it's not great, but I feel pretty good about where this team is at. Definitely want to see if they get any good news in the injury department in the next week or so. But like, I just kind of weirdly trust this team in these big moments for whatever reason. Even as badly as things go sometimes, you just feel like they're going to find a way to make it work.
And what we have to consider is, at least they're around a 64 game at this point. They're going to be playing a, good but not great, like just outside the top 25 level opponent. Like they're going to, that type of team. I mean, they're going to have a very winnable first round game. Doesn't mean they will, but like they're not going to be overwhelmed. This isn't a situation where they're, going to be facing Duke or whoever else. Maybe that's in the second round, but the opening round game is going to be compelling for sure. Yeah. I will absolutely have myself talked into Arkansas beating whoever the hell they get drawn against in the first round. I'm telling you right now, I'm picking Arkansas to win their first round game.
I mean, listen, I'm not even seeing the draw. I'll just tell you right now, the spread for the game will be 3 or fewer points, one way or the other. I wouldn't be surprised if Arkansas was favored over a 6 seed. I mean, hell, they were favored over Mississippi State the other day and they beat them. I could see Arkansas being like a 1 or 2 point underdog against a 6 seed in the NCAA tournament. They'll be like the very popular upset pick for sure.
What do we think the best seed is? Like, do you like the 11-6 and then you get a 3, or do you like the 10-7 and then you get a 2?
I love the 11-6, provided that you're not having to play in Dayton. Although we've said we wouldn't mind going to Dayton. I think we've agreed that they've clinched that spot.
I think they're out of that
10 spot either. 11 or 10, I think, is just way better than 8 or 9, in my opinion. Like, I just would not want to. It really is kind of a gut punch when you're going to have to face Duke in the second round. Like, it's just a little bit tough. Whereas I think there's a lot of teams that are on that 2 seed, 3 seed range. Like Michigan State's a 2 seed. Not saying Arkansas I'd feel good in that matchup. Michigan State's very good. Like, I think Arkansas could beat a Michigan State. I don't know if Arkansas could beat a Duke.
Yeah. I think I'm kind of in the same wavelength there with you for sure. Gary said the Hogs embarrassed themselves.
Nah, come on.
Almost did. Okay, they almost did, but they didn't.
And look, I know that sounds like it's like, well, you were close to embarrassing yourself, but that's an important distinction to make.
Very much so.
They didn't embarrass themselves. Yeah. It was nut dropping time, and they dropped their nuts. That's what happened.
Yeah, exactly. Mic'd up. We appreciate the super chat, buddy. Says Cal equals ratings. Arkansas fans travel well. We're in, and Cal definitely equals ratings, and Arkansas fans do travel well.
Speaking of the ratings, I'll give the ESPN guys who are the SEC Network guys and all that, I'll give them a pass for calling this a must-win game for Arkansas. That's crazy. Whether you think they were in or not, calling it a must-win is crazy.
Yeah, that's insane.
But they have to sell this tournament as being relevant, so I'm okay with that. But we're all on the same page now. Like, let's just relax.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one for sure. And then kind of to piggyback off that, David says I think there's more weight in the SEC than we even realize. And I think maybe he's talking about the SEC tournament, but there absolutely is this year. Uh, in the past, Wednesday sadness would be against teams who are below 500 on the season, or can we maybe get into the NIT or something? There's a reason why they called it Wednesday sadness. Today, you have 4 games in the SEC tournament. Every one of them features a team that's projected to be in the field. So it does matter. Like these games matter more. The further you get in these conference tournaments, the less it does matter, because by middle of the day Friday, the selection committee's made a majority of their decisions, and then they have contingency plans based on how the final games play out. Wednesday, Thursday games in these big conference tournaments, they absolutely matter, and they matter on steroids in the SEC because of the situation with a lot of these teams who are on the bubble, and just the depth of the league having, the potential at least for 14 out of the 16 freaking teams getting in the field. That's not going to happen. I think they're going to get 13, but it definitely carries more weight than it used to. That's for sure. Let's see. Steven, we appreciate the super chat. He says, beat Ole Miss, play Auburn close. Do we move to a 9 seed? Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
But like we were saying earlier, is that really even like a good thing? That means you're going to have to play a better team in the second round.
Yeah,
if you win.
Exactly. Like I would kind of want to avoid that. I'm just going to pull up Lenardi's bracketology this morning real quick, just to see who those 9 seeds are, like who you might be able to pass. Cause Arkansas is ahead of Baylor right now, for example. So like Utah State is right ahead of them. Okay. So the 9 seeds, West Virginia is one of them. So maybe if they lost their first round game, because they were hovering around the bubble and they played well down the stretch. Georgia right now they have as a 9 seed. So if Georgia gets popped by Oklahoma, I think is who they play today. Yeah. Then maybe there's a situation there where you could pass them up. I guess it's not crazy. New Mexico is a 9 seed. Creighton, who hasn't been great.
Like Ole Miss is a good win. That would be another marquee win for Arkansas. It'd be I could see them getting in that 9 seed range for sure.
Right. Yeah, they got Ole Miss as a 7 seed right now. So yeah, to answer your question, Steven, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. I don't think just Arkansas beating Ole Miss and then playing Auburn tight would do it. It would need a combination of maybe a team or two to lose. But
that's a good point.
Steven, the other Steven with a PH. That's how my first name is spelled. Appreciate you. He says, what does a successful season look like the rest of the way? You just said it, Andrew, and I think I'm with you. I mean, obviously making the NCAA tournament, which Arkansas has effectively done, win one when you get there. One
win, and this is a successful season.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm not gonna piss and moan too much. The fact that they made the tournament, we had agreed all along, if this team missed the tournament, that would be a disaster. If they lose a competitive game, I'll be a little sad, but I'm not gonna be like, hey, it's an unsuccessful season.
Yeah, especially because they're going to be the higher or lower seed.
Right.
What is it?
Lower seed.
Yeah.
Even though it's a higher number, it's a lower seed.
Yeah. According to the chalk, they will be projected to lose whoever they play against in the first round. So if you do lose it, it's like, that sucks. But after everything they've been through, the adversity and everything, just getting there, I think you would consider that success. And if they win a game, you feel really good about it. Anything on top of that, and you got to be really, really impressed. And I know, BBN is probably putting comments in the chat right now as we speak about, NIL and top 20 preseason, 5 stars and all this. I get it. I understand all that. Based on coming into the season, the expectations, did Arkansas meet it? Have they met it yet? No, of course not. They didn't play well for a stretch there early in SEC play, but to overcome the things that they have, and losing your 2 leading scorers at different times, and just being able to continue to grind and get in there when you were left for dead or in the coffin without the nails or whatever Cal said, it's really impressive. And I think if you take into account the context, you can only be pretty happy about what they've done here. Another super chat from Brian, Matthew, Deaver, Ryan. Appreciate you. Says, do you think Coach, yeah. Says, do you think Coach Cal will keep the starting lineup the same and bring Boogie or Thero in off the bench if they play again this year? I think that's going to be the case. I 100% think that would be the case with Boogie, and he's the one I'm probably most skeptical about. Thero, if I was Cal, I would bring him off the bench just to keep Trevin as dialed in as absolutely possible, because he's such a huge difference maker for this basketball team right now.
When here's the thing, regardless of whether it's Boogie or Theo, and I agree, Boogie, there's no chance Boogie's going to be starting. Like, right. I just can't imagine that happens. It's a mystery of what you're going to be able to get from them. When you bring them off the bench, you can kind of bring them in, test it out, see if it works. If it doesn't, whatever. There's nothing stopping you. Say you bring in Adu Thero at the 13, 14-minute mark, and he gives you 5 awesome minutes. Mm-hmm. All right, then play him 28 minutes. You can do that. But, like, I think you need to ease him in slowly. And I agree with the point about Trevin. I don't think you need to make any, like, crazy. Like, I've seen a couple of people saying bench Carter, and I'm like, I know Carter stunk today. Yeah. Carter's been kind of a consistent piece there. I'm not saying you have to play Carter 34 minutes and Thero 12 minutes, but I think you bring Thero off the bench, see what he's got there, and then let him roll if he's cooking.
Yeah, no, I think I'm with that 100%, man. I would absolutely love to have Adu back, and I think he'd be a big factor of it for sure. If he was, and it's, I just keep going back to what Cal said, man, about Trevin, where it's like, hey, his battle is within himself, and he's confident. He's playing with so much swagger and freedom and everything right now that I would have earmarked serious minutes for him. And if that means that, you know, you get weird and play Thero at the 3 and you go bigger if Carter doesn't have it or whatever, then sure. But yeah, I don't think I'd be making any changes to the starting lineup. Even if Z is compromised, I wouldn't, if he's compromised, but he's still able to play, like even tomorrow, for example, I'd still start Z. Like, I would keep the same thing you've had going on as you won 5 of 6 here. And if he can't secure a rebound because his thumb hurts, and I get Jonas in there quick, but like, I wouldn't mess with anything right now, personally.
We make a big deal about the starting lineup. Really, I'm not saying it doesn't matter at all. It really doesn't. Like, if you start, like you said, if you start Z, that doesn't mean you have to play him 34 minutes. You know, you can mix and match, but I would agree with you in terms of just keeping the vibes the same.
Yeah, for sure. David says play Chavis. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think Chavis is eligible to play. Like, I don't think he's.
Why would you do that right now? Why would it now be the time to mix him in?
I rarely ever, and here's why I say this. I rarely ever see him with the team during most of warmups. Occasionally he'll be out there like right before the game for layup lines. Sometimes I don't even see him until they're just on the bench or whatever. I don't know if he's hurt or what's going on, but I'm not sure that he's even really a member of the team from a day-to-day standpoint with practice and everything, just based on what I've seen. Jaden is the guy. I mean, it's him. He warms up with them all the time. He's been the one that's been getting in there. I do think that you're going to see him some tomorrow. I do. I think you're going to see Carlette, but nothing crazy. But what he played the last time against South Carolina, like 3 or 4 minutes or something, I bet he gets a rotation or 2 in there. Outside of him, guys, I just don't know. Like Aiden Kelly's another one that I see for like layup lines right before the game, but not really during your hour-long warm-ups. Melo Sanchez is a guy who's out there, but he's just like passing to the big guys when they're doing their warm-ups. And then maybe he's in layup lines. Like, some of these guys, I don't know if they're hurt or like officially red-shirted or exactly what's going on there. But Jaden strikes me as like the only real option for them to turn to.
I mean, there's a reason he's the only name Cal has said in terms of guys that they could throw in there. He's like, oh, maybe we'll throw Jaden in. And then we've seen him throw them in. But I think there's a reason we haven't heard any of those other guys' names.
Yeah. Allegedly, this is true. Yeah, here it is. Let me pull this. Let me find the chat again. I almost lost it. Oh, yeah. BTC Pack says KSR already has an article about us almost blowing a 20-point lead. Yeah, they sure do. I'm looking at it right here. Tyler Thompson, Tyler the Chick, over there. It says the title is Arkansas almost blew a 20-point lead versus South Carolina, and then in parentheses and other early SEC tournament notes.
Dude, that's shameful. That honestly is kind of shameful.
You know who Arkansas didn't blow a lead against? Kentucky. Kentucky.
I mean, like, look, we've referenced Muss here and there, but like, dude, this, like, that would be pretty weird if we were just like still writing articles about like what Muss was doing at USC. I have no idea what their record is right now. I know that they're not going to make the tournament. That's crazy. That's what you do when you have a head coach that doesn't move the needle in terms of ratings, in terms of people that give a shit about what's going on. But But then you don't get to do the thing BBN where you're like, oh, you guys are obsessed with us. When you're writing stories about what Cal's doing on a noon game at the SEC tournament, that's your daddy.
Yeah. That is wild, man.
Maybe Papa will notice you one of these days.
Right. Sharkensaw says Vandy was a breeze, but that's an outlier. Yeah, they controlled that one. There was like one brief moment, I think, where they got it to single digits, and then Arkansas was like, no, not today. So that is an example. Good pull. Let's see what else we have here in the chat. Michelle just texted me and said Vanderbilt's down right now.
Ooh,
what are they doing, man? Falling apart. Come on.
I have a good chat to bring up, Curtis.
Yeah,
because this is a good way. We've been trying to word like how to feel about this. Higher ed guy says this was like a could have been shart. It was a could have been shart, and you know what it was? It was just a fart. Like, you know, you're in that decision where you're like, I have to fart, but this might be bad. Turned out to just be a fart. Now it was a fart that smelled bad, but it was a fart that you got away with, though.
That's
you
really
did not
good.
shit your pants.
Oh man, that's funny. That's really funny. Oh man, we get to do this all over again tomorrow. I was really thinking at one point, I'm like, well, if Arkansas does wind up losing this game, then we just got to do like Inside Arkansas Live tomorrow. Are we going to talk about spring football or something? Like, what is this really going to look like? Very thankful that we get to do another watch party tomorrow. Like,
worst case scenario now, we do a Friday Inside Arkansas Live, and we're into the weekend.
Yeah, and that's okay. Yeah, I'm 100% okay with that one. I see from Kip, says Muss has been missing Bud Walton a lot lately. You've been seeing some of Muss's.
That's a home court advantage right there. That's good stuff. I love Muss, dude. I really do. Like, genuinely, if that guy asked me to kill someone for him, I would do it right now.
Yeah, yeah. I think I would take a. I don't know if I'd take a bullet for Eric Musselman, but I might give a bullet.
I would give a bullet.
Yeah,
I would consider taking it, but I would at least need to be sold on it a little bit.
Cody Buckner says, doesn't the committee take into account injuries? I mean, how well Arkansas has played with injuries is wild. Well, they do. Like, so that is something they'll look at. In some cases, it can screw you.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, is this the same team that had a Dude Thero or whatever? But to your second part of the point there, you're absolutely right. How well Arkansas has played with injuries is wild, and it's a really, really good thing for Arkansas. They've objectively been a better team with one and then two guys being out. That's really helpful. Baylor, for example, they lost their big guy who was he was a defensive player for them. But since they lost him, they've really been kind of scuffling and everything down the stretch. And I was listening to one of those bracketology shows that was like, like when you get down to it, especially if they lose their first Big 12 game and you really look at it, it's like these guys are close to the cut line and now they're a man down and they've sucked since he's been gone. He's not coming back. You consider it. Arkansas has done themselves a huge favor by playing extremely well shorthanded.
Curtis, you remember John Henson?
Yeah.
North Carolina. There was one year where he missed 5 games and North Carolina went 1-4 in those games. And North Carolina got a 1 seed and they had no business getting a 1 seed. But it was because it was they didn't have their post guy in those games, so you can't evaluate that. And the committee gave them a huge bump. That's one of the biggest NCAA tournament injuries I can think of. But you remember when Florida State football didn't get in the college football playoff because their quarterback got hurt? It can screw you sometimes.
Yeah. Did you pull this? I don't think we haven't pulled this one up yet, right? From Steven?
No,
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, we were kind of on the must discussion here, and Steven says, "Would you take one win?" Talking about the tournament with Eric Musselman and this roster. Yeah, I think I would.
Yeah,
when they were in Des Moines a couple years ago, with all your McDonald's All-Americans or whatever, and Ricky Council, I would have taken just the Illinois win.
Yeah,
but they wound up getting the Kansas one. So no, I really do. I think I would. I know it's easy to say now, but yeah, I was very much prepared to accept Arkansas only winning 1 game in that particular tournament. I was prepared to accept that when they beat Colgate and then had to play Texas Tech. Had they lost to Texas Tech in that game, I would have been like, boy, I really wish they would have got over the hump to that Sweet 16. But that was a difficult matchup, and they wound up getting it done. But I think I would, especially as currently constructed.
Yeah, I would absolutely take one win. I mean, obviously, if Muss in this roster were a 1 seed, maybe I wouldn't, but like I feel like it would have played out pretty similarly. And yeah, I would have absolutely taken one win. And plus, I mean, I know Muss has gone on runs, but like I don't think it would have changed the expectation big picture if he was the coach on this team. In fact, I think Arkansas probably would have had lower expectations preseason.
Yeah, that's I think that's probably true. That's a good point. Well, just a handful more folks, and then we'll get out of here. And just from a content standpoint, it's a little bit different since Arkansas won. Andrew, is it out yet or is it coming out?
It's going to come out at 3:30. 3:30 is when I moved it back to. We got a Matt Goodhart interview, hour-long Matt Goodhart interview. We ended up just shooting the shit riffing for a while. So go check that out after we get done here. Yeah, that'll be real fun. Our report card and player grades, we're going to I'm going to record that when we're done here. That's going to premiere at 7:00 tonight. So tune in and check that out. And then obviously we got another game that we got to preview. So that'll be out bright and early in the morning. So a little bit extra here now that we're into postseason play, but ain't nothing wrong with that, man. Content season, hard work season.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like John Calipari says, we're grinders. We're just grinders. Yeah. What can we say? Whew. Oh, this is fun. This is a good last one to bring up here from Kip. Says, well, at least you don't have to deep dive into 452 portal names now, Curtis. I am keeping running tabs, though, of players of interest who are announcing they're entering the portal now. And that's going to continue to flood the further we get into this week. And like these high majors who know they're not going to make the NCAAs, those names are going to start popping up. The portal doesn't officially open until a week from Sunday, or a week from Monday, I guess. But I'm going to be prepared. Like, just because I don't have to do it yet doesn't mean there's not preparations going on behind the scenes. In fact, we'll have a little bit of a break at some point when Arkansas either loses in this SEC tournament or next week before the NCAAs, that we might do a little preview of like, hey, there's some guys here to keep an eye on who are good fits or their connections or whatever. So just like what did Chin Coleman say? I think he said they're doing the portal in the parking lot. He's like we're still very much focused on the season and everything, but we know that it's right there. And so we're keeping our eye on it. Same here. All right. We're not slacking. No slacking around here.
And look, there's still going to be a portal season. Like there's still going to be it's just less names to have to sift through. Yes. Which is always nice. Now instead you just get a billion questions about the same 3 names.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't wait. Looking forward to that. But no, we'll be all over it. But let's get out of here. We've done enough for this 4-point win over South Carolina that was not dramatic at all. But like we said at the top of the show, man, you survive and you advance, and that's exactly what Arkansas did. Any final thoughts, Andrew, my man, before we get out of here?
My final thoughts are, suck it to everybody who is praying Arkansas would make the NCAA tournament, still trying to scratch and claw and hold on to Arkansas's bubble. Arkansas's fine. They made the NCAA tournament. Tomorrow, we're having fun. Tomorrow, everybody, we're not bitching at all tomorrow. Just good vibes.
Oh, no, it's house money
now.
If
wins, we'll be happy. We'll be thrilled. Yeah, beat Ole Miss. We always want to beat Ole Miss. Stick it to Chris Beard. If they lose, we have a very clear spin zone. Do not forget that. I know, obviously, you're still going to be a little irritated if Arkansas loses tomorrow. But tomorrow, when we're there for the watch party and all that, it's just going to be a good time. So come hang out and bring your good vibes. Yes, definitely good vibes tomorrow. They slipped for a moment. For about 11 minutes worth of moments today, but this one was still semi important. Yeah, it's house money from here on out. So we're out of here. Appreciate everybody for rocking with us, man, for 3.5, a little over 3.5 hours today. Been a lot of fun. We got a lot more to come. So make sure you check out Andrew's interview with Mr. Goodhart. It's coming out now. The Bombastic Podcast. It'll be electric as always. Check out the report card premiering at 7:00 tonight, and then we'll be back and we'll do it all over again. So for Andrew Ellis, Curtis Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas, y'all have a good day. We'll catch you tomorrow.